It's Super Tuesday. It's the biggest primary day of the four-year presidential cycle. And what it means is that in 15 states and one overseas territory, Republicans will be voting for their nominee. And in 16 states, because Iowa was a big postal vote, which of course was done by the Republicans back in January, in 16 different areas, it'll be decided by the Democrats plus one overseas territory. Well, I'm joined by Scott Rasmussen, president of RMG Research down the line from the USA. Scott, normally Super Tuesday is super exciting because there are lots of candidates, they're in contention, you don't quite know who's going to come out on top, and Super Tuesday can turn the tide of a campaign for the nomination. But this one, well, it's all over before it begins, really, isn't it?
Oh, it is. 4 years ago, we thought Michael Bloomberg had a chance to become the Democratic nominee, and he had a face plant on his debate beforehand, and that ended it. But this year, look, as long as they're still breathing on Election Day, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are going to be the competitors for their parties.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's position clearly enormously strong, and I was with him last week, actually, and despite all the legal challenges, he seems pretty strong, pretty confident. In the case of Biden, Scott, I mean, your polling on how people view President Biden in terms of his age and his competence, it doesn't make very happy reading, does it?
It does not. All the polls show that people are concerned about the current president's age. But I think that's missing the point. What's really going on here is people have had 4 years of President Biden in office. The Democrats continue to talk about Donald Trump as if the character of Donald Trump is the only issue in the campaign. The Trump campaign is talking about issues that people care about, the economy and immigration and crime. And that's why the former president looks like he's in pretty good shape at this point in time.
He does. Now, of course, the funny thing is this massive country with a huge population, and yet, really, the next president of America is down to, I think it's about 300,000 voters in key swing states, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in, Arizona.
Yeah, there's about 7 states that are swing states at this point in time. And I think this is where you begin to see the dynamics a little more clearly. The national polling shows the race very close between President Biden and President Trump. Trump may have a very modest edge right now. But 4 years ago, Donald Trump lost the popular vote by 4.5 points, and he came within fewer than 100,000 votes of winning the Electoral College. In 2016, he lost the popular vote by 3 points and did win the presidency. So if the popular vote is a tie this time around, you would expect to see those swing states leaning in President Trump's direction. That's what all the polling shows right now. But it does. It comes down to Arizona and Nevada and Georgia and Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Those are the races we'll be watching as the year goes on.
Yeah, and I've been saying, Scott, for some time that I just can't see the Democrats sticking with Biden. But what method would they have to remove him?
Well, the technical method is very simple. At the beginning of every Democratic convention and Republican convention, there is a vote to adopt the rules of the convention. So in theory, the Democratic delegates could say nobody is bound. No matter what primaries a candidate won, the delegates are now free to choose whoever they want. So technically, the Democrats could do that. In the 1980 Democratic convention, I was there at Madison Square Garden. That was the first vote when Ted Kennedy tried to overtake Jimmy Carter. It didn't work then. It won't work today. And the reason for that primarily is even if they got Joe Biden out of the race, there's no clear candidate who would be stronger. It would be a very divisive fight. Kamala Harris would assume that she's the next nominee. A lot of people in the Democratic Party would not like that. And I think the dynamics of the Democratic Party right now would mean that if Joe Biden were to step down, the nominee would be much further to the left politically, far more progressive than the American people are. And that would be a disaster for the Democratic Party.
Well, there we are. It looks, Scott, like it's going to be a rerun of November 2020, but maybe with a different outcome. Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight on GB News. Thank you very much.